We're back on Inside the Box podcast here, Box Media. Today we have a very special guest friend, Miles Parkhill. Sorry, welcome, Miles. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Thank you for coming on. Miles is a fellow business owner, entrepreneur, has a lot of different things going on, and friend. Known Miles for a long time, back in the skating days.
Yeah.
Rollerblading.
Yeah.
When you say skating, everybody thinks of skateboarding automatically.
That's okay. You probably want to make them think that anyway.
Right.
You know, because
it's kind of coming back, I think. On TikTok, I saw a bunch of skaters, and I'm like, is this coming back, or has it just been around and it's just low-key?
There definitely is a few, but it's low. I feel it's very low-key. I mean, there's some hardcore guys out there. I follow a couple of them on Instagram. It's cool.
Those are fun days, man. Your parents must have really loved you because your whole driveway basically was ramps.
Yeah.
And I was like, my parents would never let me do this.
Well, I still live in the neighborhood, and our Facebook group, people complain about stuff all the time. And I'm like, dude, 30 years ago, I had half the street taken up with ramps, and nobody said a thing. And now somebody like parks their car the wrong way, and they're calling the cops.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like,
I know
wow.
Matt had a ramp he'd always put in the street. Man, those are fun days.
Yeah.
Easier times. Anyway, Miles owns MilesTshirts, Paragon.
Disc
golf.
Yeah.
And
a new business, Box for Discs.
Is that what the official name? Box for Disc?
Box for Discs, yeah.
That's awesome.
So
ties to disc golf as well.
Yep.
Hold your
storage for discs.
Yeah. So yeah, I've known Miles since I don't even remember what year that was. It was like high school.
It'd be like 90s.
Yeah. Early 90s, mid 90s, something around there.
Yeah.
Good old inline skating. And so something I've done with local business owners that I'll do, and just kind of keep it in the back of your head, and we'll answer it at the end of the podcast. But I typically ask, like, what is your biggest challenge as being like a small business owner? So we just keep that in the back of the head and revisit it back at the end of the podcast here. But so Miles owns MilesTshirts. You want to break that down for us? It's much more than T-shirts, though.
I mean, obviously, yeah, we've done a lot of stuff with you, vehicle wraps, promotional products. I actually brought some stuff for you.
Oh, perfect.
So
I always love goodies. Some swag
some
to build up
here.
my...
We actually put
there
that.
we go.
Yeah, we could just put our koozies.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by Starbucks, although I
Monster's
do have
not
some
paying.
stock in them if anyone wants to buy that. There we
Some
go.
koozies,
I like
some
that.
orange.
Orange pins, that matches everything going on here.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thought you
that.
would like that.
So, you do all just
anything we work with
branding.
businesses, schools, sports teams. I mean, anybody that needs a logo on something,
Yeah.
we pretty much can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, we have definitely used them. I reach out to him and probably annoy him on numerous occasions regarding, because I'm just picky when it comes to my T-shirts and how they feel and what's going on. Like, actually, this is the shirt I was wearing when I texted or called you that one day, and I'm like, man, I have this shirt on. It feels amazing.
Yep.
How do I get a shirt that feels exactly like this, but I want my logo on it?
Yep.
Sent him the tag, and he just responded, oh, it's a tri-blend. He's like, it's a little more expensive, but we can get that for you. And they did, and man, I just know people wear them more because I spent that little extra money. I think it was an extra $1.50 or something. But God, they just feel so much better.
Yeah, no, but that's what people always want: soft tees. Like now that it's more in all the stores, they don't sell. I mean, Target and those places, they won't even sell a shirt if it's not soft now.
Yeah.
So everybody expects soft shirt, and when you give them something that's rough, they don't want it.
Well, I think I originally had the what's it called, dual blend, or I think.
We probably did like the CVC, which is like
that might have been it.
A polycotton.
And not even that, like I got some amazing feedback on. People loved them, but then it's a little bit like looser. It doesn't have quite the same tight feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of style too.
The tri-blends are definitely more stretch.
Yeah.
With
the way kind of style has gone, I guess. So yeah, anything logos. Look at this, man. We got koozies. Obviously, you guys wedding people ever reach out to you? Do you do a lot of wedding stuff?
We do, but we're kind of getting away from some of the smaller stuff.
Right.
We're working with a lot of bigger companies that are wanting more from us, so it's hard to stop and
do the little things,
do the really small things.
And we've had that issue too. You want to try to help people out, but it's like the little one-off and individuals. It just you try to help them because it's an individual and give them a good price, but then all of a sudden they become a bigger pain in the butt. Then you know what I mean? It's
and when I started my business, I was taking all the orders that the bigger shops in town didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So they would call, the other big shops at the time, and they would say, oh, our minimum is 24 pieces. And they'd call me, and I'd be excited to do 12 shirts,
Well, you were doing it all yourself. I mean,
Right.
you had the little
I was doing
spin
everything.
press, manual, and it's gotten
Yep.
a lot more automated now. But
yeah.
how long have you been doing the printing of T-shirts? 'Cause I remember even in the 90s and shit, you had like a little room, right, at your house?
It was probably in 99. I mean, I was junior in high school, started working at a shop and learned how to do it. And one of the guys that I worked with said, yeah, you could do this on your own at your house. Like, he could tell I just had,
Yeah.
the niche for it. I was like, yeah. So I just started doing it at my house and picking up customers. Obviously, the skate shop, we were printing stuff for the skate shop, and then playing in Park, printing stuff for Park. So I kind of had built-in customers.
Yeah. You had a need there. I guess I left that out too in the introduction. Miles here with the drummer for Park, which was an awesome band. You guys still play some random shows?
We were supposed to play 3 shows this year, but obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer.
Frustrating.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah. If you've never checked Park out, they were an awesome band, man. I listened to them a lot. I still have my hoodie, zip-up hoodie that I got back, I don't know, one of the first shows I went to.
Yeah.
I remember my girlfriend at the time, actually, it might have been before I even knew, like before we even were skating and stuff. I think it took me a little bit to put 2 and 2 together.
Sure.
I think,
Yeah.
But I remember
nobody pays attention to the drummer. I'm in the back.
Which is really, I mean, one of the coolest. He's an amazing drummer. If no one's ever listened to him, definitely go check out. Spotify? You guys got your music out there still on some of those platforms, or?
Yeah, I mean, definitely iTunes. I know for sure. I think Pandora for sure. I don't know. There's been some weird stuff with the record label changing ownership and some stuff getting taken down and getting put back up. So
that stuff's always a pain in the ass.
Well, it's cool that fans notice. I mean, as soon as it happens, they start emailing us, hey, for some reason this got taken off of Spotify. I think it was.
Alert you.
And so I just hit up the label and they got it figured out. I don't know how that works. But
right. That one time that happened, I did a video and I wanted just this goofy song I found online that had to do with like swimming or pool party or something, And I was like, man, I know I'm going to get flagged for this. Like, I'm not going to be able to use it and post it. So I reached out to the band, and I was like, hey, I'm making this video. I think it'd be really funny. You guys could use it if you want, whatever. Is it cool if I use this song? And they're like, totally, all good.
Yeah.
And then, I got pulled from Facebook. And then on YouTube, they started running their ads on it, their own ads, not me.
Right.
And I didn't even have ads on it. But, it was something with their label, and I reached out. I was like, hey, I thought you said it was all good. And they're like, yeah, it's our old label. We don't have rights to that or whatever. I'm like, man, that sucks.
It does. It's rough when you can't even – people have asked us to use songs, and I say yes, but if the label's,
right,
it's a whole other thing, yeah.
So printing since the early – what I guess – so you kind of got into it because – you were just looking, or did you get you said you had a job with a printer at first?
Yeah, I worked
Was that
at
just
a
to
shop.
make money? Like,
well, I really wanted to print the movie Rad. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Rad. It's like a BMX movie. In the movie, he has to raise money, so he makes some shirts and he prints them like on a tabletop. And I always like building stuff, ramps, all that kind of stuff. So seeing that process, even though it's not the process that I use at all, it was just a stencil, and they were like rolling it on with like a paint roller.
Oh.
But I was like, I want to make shirts.
Yeah.
So I went to CACC. There was a graphics arts program, and I thought we were going to learn how to screen print, and we did for like a week, and then we moved on to the next thing. So I was a little disappointed, but I used that to go kind of finagle my way into a job saying, oh, I know how to screen print, and then learned from there and
just liked it.
Worked there for maybe a summer. And now actually that guy, I print for him now. Like
nice.
he comes to me because he doesn't have any printers really. So
right.
So yeah, it was just kind of a natural progression. And then obviously with the skate shop, we needed stuff to sell. And then with the band, it was a nice job that I could print for my friends and for other businesses when I was in town, but I was on the road. It didn't matter,
It's nice when you kind of, so many people never figure out what they want to do or don't fall into the right fit or the angle, and they struggle with that their whole lives. A lot of people, and I feel bad for them. But like even with me, we've progressed. Obviously, I've had a lot of steps of progression. But I was kind of like, we were playing video games on the computer, And people were making these like avatars with like graphics for your to support your team or whatever. And I started just messing around doing that, and that kind of led me to graphic design. And from there, I mean, I just got into photography, videography, whatever. But the graphic design was like that first step kind of core just from playing video games.
Right.
And that was early on, and I didn't, and then I just progressed and learned more, and it kind of led to where we are now. And it's it sucks that people, just trying to constantly searching for that, but it's kind of funny, that both found a little niche there that we liked.
Well, and my plan too, before kind of the music thing happened, my dad lived in San Diego, and I wanted to go to the art school out there. So I was like thinking, I'm gonna graduate high school, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna do graphic design. And then the band thing happened, and we just traveled, and was like, I don't have time for college right now. And then everything just naturally happened, which was really cool. But I think a lot of people are always searching, what do I want to do? I can do anything. What do I want to do? And I don't know. I feel like it kind of picked me. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that I'm in this industry that, I don't want to say is recession proof, but we were able to weather the storm pretty well through all the stuff that's happened this year.
Yeah. Wasn't it crazy?
I mean, there's a lot of businesses that definitely closed in our industry, but they were the ones that maybe weren't willing to try different things.
Yeah. And that's where, we talking with a lot of our businesses that we work with, just trying to get them to pivot, and I actually made a video right at the beginning. I don't know if you saw it, but I said, and this wasn't just to my customers, I was just addressing everybody like, look, I know this is going to be a tough time, and you're going to want to save money or whatever. If you're not making content with us, make content, because I promise you people are going to be sitting at home off work because everybody's locked down. You can't go out and they're going to be consuming content. They're going to be on social media. They're going to be watching YouTube. It's just going to be great. And then literally over the next few days, all of our customer statistics just went crazy. It was all up like 500, 600, 700%, like the engagement, views, all this stuff. And we weren't spending any more money. Some people cut back on money, on spend even, but it was just going nuts. You know what I mean? It's almost like it was just an opportunity. I mean, obviously the whole thing was bad. I'm not saying that it was a good thing, but it was an opportunity for people to like get out there and get in front of a lot of people, even if they couldn't get business then, when all this was over. That's what I said. I'm like, when this is done, people are going to want to get out. They're going to want to go eat. They're going to want to spend money. They want to do stuff because they've been locked away for so long. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know there's a lot of businesses that took the opportunity to, remodel their stores or, whatever they could do that they normally wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Every business is a little different, and some are prepared for stuff like that. Some are not.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So I lucked out.
Yeah. No, we were very blessed. We had a couple customers put stuff on pause. I think we lost maybe one during it. But yeah, like you said, it's I feel like a lot of businesses don't like to keep like something tucked away though, to like, you know what I mean? A lot of people are kind of living day to day, including businesses, and I understand, it's tough, but I feel like they should everybody should hopefully now, knows that they should have a little bit of a plan or backup. It's such a weird thing though. Who would have thought, you know what I mean, that you could just get shut down like that, and it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it was definitely wild. You don't think that happens here.
And you had just moved to a new building.
Yeah, I mean, probably about a year prior, like April 19. Yeah, is about when we moved in the new shop.
So you didn't move far, but I mean, most people probably know that are watching this. If you want to let people know where that new building's at.
The new shop's 306 North Street, just in front of Kim's Auto Body.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's an awesome building, man. I've been in there. How was that whole experience? Like, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing it was probably a little stressful, but just having a new shop and everything was probably really allowed you to make things, because like even here, like you get in there and you're kind of doing stuff, and it just kind of gets a little bit jumbled. It's like, man, I kind of wish I would have done it this way.
Yeah, no, and the cool thing is that we were able to take our time doing it, partly because we wanted to, partly because we needed to do it slowly as money came in. But that helped us make some changes, I think, that or things that we were able to second guess ourselves and have the time to change it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of changes made at the very beginning when we had architect drawings and stuff, and once you tear all the walls down and start building it up, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, like this isn't going to be a good place for this wall. This is going so we definitely made some good choices. But yeah, having the two shops really close to each other was nice. So even when we weren't fully in the new shop, some of the guys were working over there on some of the new equipment, and we were able to just run back and forth. They were so close to each other.
That does make it a little easier transition.
That was helpful. I couldn't imagine just having to be out of one place and be in another place within a day, a week, whatever, a month. We were able to kind of transition over the course of 6 to 8 months.
Right.
So
let's talk a little bit about, I guess, your growth. So you started obviously at your parents' basement, right?
In the garage.
Garage, yeah. And then did you have a place before that shop over there what was like the next step after?
So it was like six. So the location we're in now is our 6th time that I've moved.
Oh, really? See, I didn't even know that.
Started in the garage, and that really wasn't very long. That was got the equipment. We might have printed maybe one thing there. And then my grandma had a garage behind her building on Edwards, and moved in there. And then we moved into the skate shop when the skate shop moved.
On Chatham?
So like where New Age is now, the skate shop used to be there, but there's the spot where
Were you in the printing in the skate shop when it was there?
Not where New Age is now, but like the space next to it. When we moved over, there was like a back room there.
Right on Wabash. MacArthur. For people that don't know.
So, and this was like back in the asylum days, before the CVS was there, it was the Wabash curve.
Yep.
For
good old curve.
Anybody that's old enough to remember that. But so we were there, and then I moved back. Or no, wait, we moved to the Chatham Road, the old airplane hangar.
Yep. Which was a cool spot.
Super cool spot.
You guys had a little spot there, had some shows.
Built a skate park.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Super fun time.
I bet those were some fun times, huh? Traveling, you had the band, and
it was really cool. I mean, Corey kind of left for a while, and I pretty much ran it, So it was my first experience running a business, really, because my T-shirt thing wasn't substantial at all at that point, So the numbers that we were doing at the skate shop to me were mind blowing. It's like, oh my gosh, we're selling these skateboards, and that was like Tony Hawk, Bam Margera time when skateboarding was
blowing
huge.
Up, yeah.
But then we downsized the skate shop to go over to the White Oaks West or whatever it is, and then I moved back to Edwards, and then we actually took up the office, which is where
rookie mistake,
where Black Moon Tattoos is. So we had our offices in there. That was when I kind of started expanding, where I was just growing out of the little tiny garage, maybe 600-800 square feet. Added the office space up there, and then I started looking for a building, and then we found the building on Lowell, purchased that in 2011. And
so was there a point during that, like you had the skate shop, but then you're like, man, I got a lot of T-shirt stuff coming in. Like, where was the decision, like, oh man, T-shirt, I'm obviously going to do better with this, or there's more opportunity here? When did you notice that?
So I really wanted to buy the skate shop from Corey, and I really thought that was going to be my thing. I was going to do the skate shop. I was going to do T-shirts. And there's a lot of people that do that around the country. They really go hand in hand nicely. But, we never came to an agreement on the price. He decided to kind of downsize. He didn't want to do the skate park. And I was like, well, if you're not going to sell me the shop, I don't want to keep killing myself. I enjoy it, but I want to, profit off of it, or at least,
make a living.
Make a living,
a good living.
So that's when I moved out, and he downsized, and the new shop wasn't going to have the space. And we were still doing the music thing. And then when Lad and Emily had a baby, that's when the music thing kind of stopped. And then,
understandably,
then
a little bit.
Yeah, so we were like, hey, we can't tour. And then it didn't like force me to go into like printing more, but now I could focus on it more. I actually got
to kind of transition your energy somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and then I ended up getting hired by another guy, worked for him for a couple years, which was actually really, really good because
a printer?
Property management.
Oh, okay.
Company. And if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been able to buy the building because, when you're a sole proprietor, banks don't want to loan you money.
Yeah.
So I was working for someone else. I was able to buy a house, buy a building, and then got laid off from that. And then I was, in it full time.
Still doing the T-shirt thing on the side.
I had 2 full-time employees.
Building stuff up or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it just went crazy. Like once we had the building and I had 100% focus on it, it just grew.
It's
like
awesome.
100% for like 4 years in a row.
That's great.
So.
Yeah. So how would, obviously I'm not asking you to put numbers out there, but like compared to like being like back then, like, and now it's like maybe just by t-shirts, like how many like average t-shirts like are you doing a year?
So
if you care to share
like,
that.
so I think one thing, like what we might have done in a whole year back then, we will do in one invoice.
Yeah.
Like in a day.
Right. What's like the again, these are just random questions that are interesting to me, but if you don't want to share, that's fine. But like the biggest t-shirt order you've ever.
Like 25,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Yeah. How now I know you've gotten some new machinery and stuff that probably helps you print a lot faster. What like how long does it take to pump out like 100 t-shirts or something like that?
I mean, you're 40, 50 dozen an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so you can knock some stuff out. There's a lot of variables, you know,
right.
depending on how big
colors
the print is
and number of colors.
But
because I don't know if a lot of people know this, and obviously I just know it a little bit from helping film stuff and like seeing it, but like I guess if you explain the process a little bit, like there's people do like, I was trying to talk to, our mutual customer about this and explain this to her. But you can do like a digital print, right?
Yep.
But it's like not going to last as long. It's going to be a crappy shirt. It's going to peel off. But then you do like the actual ink, but you have to do multiple presses on it.
Yeah.
And it's going to last way longer.
Right.
But you got to kind of pick out your colors. Because I was comparing it to vinyl. I was like, you got a digital print with vinyl or you got cut vinyl. It's kind of the same with T-shirts a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to layer it. So if you're doing a lot of colors in a small quantity, it doesn't always make sense to do it that way.
Yeah.
Or it's not cost effective,
Right.
So yeah, but the direct to garment has gotten so much better quality wise from where it was 10 years ago.
I'll tell you what, I had a customer give me a T-shirt. He was like, "Oh, you wear this?" I was like, "Sure, man. Give it to me." That thing was chipping off.
Yeah.
Like literally like a month and a half, and I didn't even wear it that much.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah, there's a lot of variables, especially with.
I don't know if it was like a print. Like it didn't seem like it was only one color, so I'm like, why would this be a print? But it. And then I looked at mine. Like I still have T-shirts I bought from you when we first started this business, and they haven't lost a speck on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were white, so they're getting what happens to white shirts.
Right.
But they still look great. And
Yeah.
it's crazy that cheaper is not always better. It's just a perfect example of it because you probably got those really cheap, but there was obviously something that was skimped on there.
Sure.
So I don't know if anybody's listening to this that has shirts that they've dealt with that. There's definitely an issue. What would you think that the issue was with that cheap ink or like?
Well, if it was a digital print, it just maybe it's probably not cured properly.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things you need to like press the shirt first to get any moisture out of the shirt. A lot of these direct to garment printers are water based now, so you got to make sure it's prepared for the ink. So.
Yeah, and I know I was just having some. I just had you print a bunch of shirts for me recently, and one of the colors was black, and there was like I'm looking at reviewing the quote, and I'm like, well, why is there an extra ink color on here? You're like, well, the proper way to do it is do white first, and then the color on top of it. I was like, okay, I understand that, but it's just those things where like somebody else might not suggest that, and that's what I with our customers, even like. Someone might contact us to do an ad and they're like, oh, you got a couple $100. And I'm like, look, I could do that. And most people probably would, but I'm just going to be honest with you. It's probably it would be better for you to save another $250 or, you know what I mean? And come back to us next month. It's just, it's like.
I've been learning that a lot with equipment, and I'm sure, you have a lot of expensive equipment, and I always look for, deals and something maybe used that is still in good shape. But now I look back at how much money I spent. I could have had newer stuff that maybe would have helped us produce a little better. But we're finally to the place now where we can, purchase those things and not freak out too much. You know, we're doing the volume to make it worth it. But yeah, some of those things you definitely got to think about. And at the time, you might not think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's always, what else has been really interesting as a business owner that I've came to realize. Is it's better to pay people for what they're good at. Does that make sense? Like I hired an accountant and I always was trying to do it myself, and I would spend so much time and I'd get so pissed off and annoyed that I just finally realized like the time I'm spending on this, I could be doing what I'm good at and I would be making twice as much.
Right.
And it's that was one big lesson that took me a long time to kind of grasp. And obviously, you got to get to a point where you can afford to do that.
Absolutely.
But
well, I mean, kind of going back to like taking on small jobs. I mean, I don't remember who said this, but I say it all the time to people. You say yes until you can afford to say no. And I mean, I would say yes to anybody wanted 1 shirt, 2 shirts, 20 shirts, whatever. Something crazy, some crazy deadline. I stay up all night to get something done.
Yeah.
You say yes until you can afford to say no. And we're to that point where, we might suggest another shop to do something if they can do it quicker, or if they have direct to garment and it'd just be more cost effective for them. But yeah, being honest with customers, especially if we refer them to somebody, they appreciate that. Versus no, we don't want to do it. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just not profitable for us.
Right.
It's not really in our business model, as much as it used to be. And that's the thing that's hard for me.
It's tough. Yeah.
I still think about, when I first started, what shirt prices were, and shirt prices have doubled as far as the cost of the blank since I started.
Is it because, look, I'm just curious, have they doubled just because the materials have gone up, or is it because it's just better, or what would you say, a combination?
I think number one, obviously just inflation, over 20 years, but also the technology that goes into making stuff now.
Yeah.
They're more efficient, but they're also making a lot.
Because I don't remember back in the day. I feel like it was always the t-shirts were always just shitty t-shirts. They all felt the same cotton.
Yeah,
whatever.
kind of. Yeah.
I don't remember anything like.
There was. I mean,
maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
But a lot of people thought, "Oh, polyester, yuck," you know. And now everybody wants this polyester shirt.
Yeah.
So it's just how things change, and it's it's on marketing too. I mean, you look at Bella Canvas or, Gildan, like companies that actually advertise to the masses. People know those names, so when they come into the shop, they say, "Oh, I want this or I want that." And there's tons of other brands that make really nice stuff as well. But if they don't know it, it's the same as. Do you have a lot of people that know what they want? Yeah, no. I mean, a lot of people get a shirt. I have a lot of customers that do that. They'll go to, I don't want to say another competitor, but maybe they go on a vacation and they get a shirt and they're like, "I want this shirt. I want this print. I want this." Mm-hmm. So we tell them what it is, and we make it happen. Now, if you had to kind of guesstimate a percentage, how many of your shirts are you guys doing the design on? Man, I feel like it definitely was a lot more. I feel like a lot of our customers have grown a lot to where they have, I guess, besides just a plain logo, you know what I mean? It's I would say maybe 60-40, really? And I feel like it used to be a lot. Well, we used to have, 3 designers, and right now we just have 1, know? So, but a lot of people are either getting better at doing their own art, or, you got Fiverr, you got different websites where people are trying to maybe get a deal. Because they know if we're going to do it, we're going to charge them a little bit more. Yeah, you got to cover your time. Yeah. And that's what, getting into some of the other stuff you do, vinyl wraps, for example, they did my vinyl wrap, gave me a very, a good price, competitive price compared to other people in town. And they definitely took the time to make sure it was right. Now I provided the design. I was going to say, you helped out a lot in that. Yeah, so which helps a lot. And people don't understand how much goes into, especially on a full vehicle wrap, the time that goes into it, just getting sizing and making sure everything's good. And I learned a lot of that from when I worked at Ace. I knew kind of how that all worked with the vehicle wrap, so it made it a little easier for you guys. But people call me and they're like, "Oh, you guys do vehicle wraps," and blah blah. I think I might have made the mistake of putting it on my website somewhere. I need to find it. Not that we do wraps, but that we will design them. Sure. So I've had people call me and they're like, "Oh, will you design a wrap?" I'm like, "I can." I'm more happy to. I think we're good at it. Because we're a marketing company. I have the experience, but we don't do the wrap, so there's no. I'm not going to be able to factor any of that cost into maybe you turning around and doing the wrap with me. So I'm going to give you a price, but it's going to be probably fairly high. You know what I mean? But what I would suggest is to reach out, and I've recommended them to you typically, and I'm like, see what he'll say. See what he'll tell you. So see if he tells you what. If I don't, you know what I mean. I don't know. I guess I haven't really talked to you about it, but I'm like, just ask him what they're going to charge for design. Yeah. And if you find it worth it, you want us to do it, that's fine. But I read a book called what was it called? God, I can't think of it now. I'll have to look it up. But it talked about one of the major takeaways I had in it was the fact, from good to great. Okay.
Have you ever heard of that book?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's good. It's good. I've tried to get it more into reading books, but I don't read them. I listen to them. I got an Audible subscription or whatever because I just hate to read, but listening while you're driving and stuff, I love that. From Good to Great by Jim Collins. And one of my major takeaways from it was the whole book analyzes like how companies became from like good companies to great companies that lasted forever and how they like beat their competition and stuff like that. And one of the things he talks about is noticing like where your niche is and what you're making the most money off of, really, you know what I mean? And then really focusing on that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, our primary stuff that we do that we've had the most business on, where most of our revenue comes from, is the content creation / social media management. So I've kind of tried to fade out some of that, like, it's like you were talking about how like the one-off stuff, like it's just not recurring and stuff like that. So it's like, that's what I would recommend. Go ahead and send them, to somebody that's more focusing on that stuff. And I've slowly been doing that, and I've almost even thought about literally like changing the whole website to just content creation, social media management. You know what I mean? Digital marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy because they analyze. It's a good book. If you ever have time to listen to it, I think I can actually like send them to people or something. I don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
Do you ever listen
to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like the way I know about that is from a podcast. But there's several that I listen to that just strictly go to all these big businesses, like you're saying, and see how they broke it down and where they changed. When these guys take over a business and get rid of the things that are making no money and just make the thing, focus.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
because you try to get into like all this random stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, because I think on our site, we have photography, videography, drone, branding, and which is websites, you know what I mean? And in websites, we still do a lot of, but mostly it's because a customer comes like looking to start their business or build their business, and it's like, well, it's a key part. And when we do that for them, it allows us to do it in a way that we know we're going to be able to tie back to it with the social media and grow their brand. But so T-shirts is definitely obviously probably the biggest part of your business, but as far as all like this other stuff, I mean, when someone's coming to you to get something printed, a lot of times, pins and all that stuff, like, do they typically add on?
Yeah, I mean,
other stuff like that.
That's the thing. Like a lot of people, I didn't know you did that. And I really like that because every time they come in, they're picking up shirts, and another customer comes in and picks up a sign. They're like, I didn't know you did signs. I need a sign. So if everybody knew everything that we did, I would be super overwhelmed. So it kind of helps pace our customers.
Exactly.
So they come in, they get their shirts, and then they need a business card, or they need pens, or hey, we have an event coming up, we need masks, whatever it is. But I think the biggest thing is people come to us because they trust us, and it's really like a trust. It's a relationship. They know that we're going to get it done. We're going to do a good job. And if there's a problem, we're going to let them know. Even if I think the hardest thing to do is, like, I think you mentioned earlier, if a customer has something that maybe doesn't look good or maybe isn't the right choice, telling them that.
Being honest.
I mean, everybody wants to start up a clothing brand, and they want to spend thousands of dollars to do it. I'm like, man, I've seen people do it, and some people do it no matter what I say. And, some people have been more successful than others, but it's a really hard thing to do.
I think people think, like, I feel like in the last, like, few years I've had, like, I know, like, 2 or 3 people have started, like, boutiques or clothing brands, and I'm just like...
It's tough.
Well, nowadays it's almost like you have to be more of a marketer than a clothing brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many people trying to do it, and it's like, if you don't know how to work social media with that, unless you have a customer base for some reason through something else,
right,
or an existing brand, you just really have to know how to work social media, ads, get it out there. It's a tough thing.
I've honestly gotten away from doing as much social media posting, and it's not because I don't want to, or I mean, you posted something about the other day with one of your people that wanted to do something, and then they just used their phone, and that definitely inspired me. I was like, I don't need to have all that good stuff. I want to do the stuff, but I always want it to be a certain way.
Right.
So, making that, just putting the effort into it. And a lot of the stuff we don't want to show off. We don't want to show everybody everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Even though that's really easy and fun to do. Sometimes
you
you got to keep it.
Stuff
Yeah.
play close to the chest or whatever the term is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, even I struggle with that. I have like all kinds of different stuff I want to do, and it's like sometimes you just do it. And,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even like I have a video, I think I talked about it in the video you're talking about, but it's like I have a video I recorded the other day, and I was sitting there in my basement like I wanted to start this video like channel that I was trying to do, and I'm sitting there, I want to get my home studio pulled together. And I'm sitting there on the sofa just looking at it, and I'm like, I don't have my camera gear here. I don't have my microphones or lights or anything. And I was just like, you know what, screw it. I got my damn phone in my pocket. Yeah. Like I literally propped it up on a shelf, like moved the whole shelf where I wanted it, set it on there, and just kind of started it. And I don't know where I heard it or remember who said it to me. It might have been, honestly, Casey Neistat or something, but it was, the best camera is the one you have on you. Yeah. And I don't remember if he heard it from somebody else or whatever, but phones are pretty damn amazing nowadays. I know. You know what I mean?
I'm about ready to get a new one, so I think when I get a new one, that'll inspire me.
Well, the new iPhone. I don't even have the 11, but with that 11 having that wide-angle lens makes a huge difference with stuff. Yeah. I haven't upgraded yet. I was kind of hoping the 12 was going to be out by now, but
I know they said October, right? They were going to.
I thought so, but didn't they just release like another one, like a cheap one or something? Their cheap line, but still like really nice. I don't know. Yeah. But, so we were talking about, and it has to do with that. You were saying before we started the podcast, that you just posted a video. Was it the Miles T-shirts one, or was it? Did you do another one?
So actually, when we moved into our building, on Lowell, in 2011, I did radio. And that, like, back then, that was okay. Yeah. And I think there's still radio is good for certain people.
Yeah, it reaches a certain crowd.
And we did it, and we didn't do a lot of it. We just stayed very steady. And I did it for about 4 years. And then I got away from it. And then, Brandon's super talented, and we kind of just came up.
Just to be clear, you're talking about that animated one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was cool. That was good.
So it started with the song, and that was the thing. We recorded this song. Well, Brandon recorded this song.
I was gonna say this is coming from people that make music, so it's a lot easier for
them. We have like a little studio in the back of the shop. He's got a computer there. So he, one day we were a little slow, and I was like, dude, just go do something. Write a song, whatever.
That's hilarious.
So he came up with the whole thing and recorded it. Because, the radio, no offense, but a lot of times they don't put a lot of effort into their ads.
Yeah, well, they're probably not. They're probably trying to work them into their price, and it's like, yeah.
So I said, we're going to make our own commercial. And, it took us a little bit. They kept bugging us about it. I was like, no, we're busy. We're going to get it. So finally we got it. And, we let everybody in the shop hear it little by little just to hear the feedback, and everybody loved it. And it's a pretty catchy little thing. Like if I knew how to do TikTok or had teenage kids, they'd probably be, dancing to it or something. Yeah. But so we had that, and then it ran for 3 or 4 months, and obviously this is during the pandemic stuff, and I was like, I don't really want to run this anymore. Yeah. So we cut it off, but a lot of people didn't hear it. I wasn't getting the response that I wanted. So I was like,
so the song you used in that video was on the radio?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it was on the radio. And like the first 3 months I heard nothing. And then we ended up doing it for another month after that, and instantly started getting, so it took like 4 months for it to like get some traction, and we'd listen to, it was on DBR, so I'm listening to it all the time, trying to hear it. And I'm like, never hear it. Finally heard it like one time, and they're playing it quite a bit. Like it was quite a bit of spots. So I was kind of surprised it wasn't getting played more. But anyway, I wanted people to hear that song because I liked it, and the people that did hear it would always joke about it when yeah. The little tagline is, "I just got a brand new shirt." Yeah. And
we'll link it below on the video of this.
and then so during the whole pandemic thing, a friend of mine posted, "Hey, if anybody's looking for work, or if anybody needs some work done," and he's done some really cool stuff. And I was like, yeah, I had no clue. I mean, he does really big stuff, and I had no clue what it was going to cost. And I told him my budget, and he's like, yeah, that's...
Wait, who are we talking about?
Patrick.
Okay.
PatrickEdge.com is his site. Okay. But he used to live here in Springfield. But yeah, he's gone on to do huge stuff. I'll have to show you something.
And he made the video?
He made all the animated stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, he cut me a deal, used some stuff maybe that he had laying around still instead of creating everything from scratch.
Here, I'll play a little clip of the... This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. It's a catchy little funny song.
Yeah.
A little auto tune or something going on there.
Yep.
The video is very cool. That goes around along with it. He did a good job on that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll link it below in the video to this podcast. But yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. And so he knocked that out. And then even after that, like I had it done and I hadn't posted it. Because, you would understand this. I didn't think about it. But he's like, well, what are you going to post this on? Before we even started the video. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean? Well, if you do YouTube, it's got to be one thing. Facebook, another thing. Instagram, another thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I'm just going to say YouTube, because the Facebook thing, I feel like it's there and then it's gone, unless you really are pushing it to keep constantly, it kind of there. Yeah. So I felt like we could always kind of tie back to it. But yeah, so I had never posted anything on Facebook. People that work for me have posted all the videos that we have on the YouTube, and thinking, is it really that hard? Is it, and I just kind of started, and I figured it out. I was like, cool. Now, like I've broken that barrier down. It's like the first time when you're like a kid going down a big slide or a diving board and you're scared.
I guess I could do it now.
And now you do it. And now it's like, cool, I'm going to do it all the time. But yeah, so he put that video together, and then it was kind of, the song and the visual. So yeah, hopefully we'll do some more things here.
Yeah, it's a neat video. I know we were talking about doing a couple. Yeah, he did a good job on it. I watched it. I think it was literally like right after you posted. I think I saw it pop up on my subscription things. Usually at night, my wife goes to bed, and I go into. She always says I'm like a 10-year-old because I'm watching YouTube all the time.
Yep.
It's not that. It's just that you can find what you want to watch. Like people are talking about the stuff you're interested in.
Yeah.
So I'm always watching like camera stuff and marketing stuff, and it's like I would much rather spend my time watching this stuff than reality TV or whatever. Now, obviously, some people just want something to turn their brain off or whatever, which I get, but I guess it's hard for me to do that. I just have a limited amount of time in a day, and my time's very valuable.
Yeah,
so it's like
you want a short video that gets to the point. Absolutely.
I just feel like sometimes it's like, I could be doing something so much more productive right now. We have that problem with vacations. She wants to lay on the beach. I'm like, I want to go do this and do this and this.
Yeah, I think our wives are very similar in that aspect. Yeah.
So your family, man, you just have one kid?
Two
now? Yeah, okay, that's right.
One February. So
that's right. Yeah, we both got youngins. This is something I'm dealing with, so I'm just curious, managing the family and business.
So our first daughter is 5 now, and obviously her growing up non-pandemic is not terrible because you have family and you have babysitters and you can go out and get away. I think the hardest thing during this whole time is being home and not getting out of the house as much. So that weighs on you a little bit more, and it kind of wears you down a little bit. You don't realize, like, why would I be worn down? I'm just at home. But yeah, you need to get out and do stuff. Yeah. So I think that's been the only challenge with having the new baby just right before all this stuff happened. I mean, I'm glad we were able to, have everything at the hospital be somewhat normal, I guess you could say, versus what we're dealing with now. And
when
February 7th.
February, okay.
Yeah. So it was, it was kind of happening, but it was like March.
It was bad.
13th.
We were right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard horror stories about that from, it seemed like a lot of people were having babies during that.
Yeah. Luckily there was nothing crazy. Like, I think, I don't remember what the rules were, but like if one of you tests positive or something, and then you get separated from your baby. And I just heard so many things that was just like, oh my God, if any of this happens, I'm going to flip out. Or like the father couldn't be there for the birth or something. I was like,
that was the big one that I heard.
I was like, I am breaking into that place. If I am, they're going to have to arrest me if I can't be there for my daughter's birth.
Yeah.
It's been so for me, I would spend like, before having kids, obviously, like I would work, weekends, late nights and everything. So it was hard for me to let go of some of that because I was just constantly kind of grinding. But it's been good, obviously to let go of some of that.
Yeah. It's hard though. I mean, like I do it all the time still. Once everybody goes to bed, then I can go back to work, and get some stuff done. Because it's during the day, you got so many distractions.
Yeah.
People coming in, picking up stuff.
Exactly. You don't feel like you're actually getting anything done.
Yeah. I mean, I had a sales rep come yesterday, and he's like, wow, you're really busy. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I was sitting outside for like 10 minutes on the phone, and you had like 7 people come in and out in like 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of like that sometimes, But then there's times when nobody comes. So Yeah, at 2 a.m, nobody's showing up, so that's
Right.
the best time to get work done.
Yeah. Because how many employees do you have now?
Right now, we just got 10.
10?
Yeah. So,
But even still, like, I mean, we just got 3 here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, they got questions or need something done, or you got to give them something to do or talk about something.
right.
So it's like, you know, you're trying to get stuff done yourself also. It's tough. Sometimes I'm just like, all right, guys, I got to do something. Put my headphones on. Like,
Well, you know, that's the cool thing about the new shop is I actually have an office I can close the door. You
Yeah.
know, before I was sharing an office with 2 other people.
mm-hmm.
So, you know, I couldn't get away or have a meeting or, you know, so now
know
it's
some-
definitely nice. Those are like having a conference room, like you have it broken up. You can, you know, get
Yeah.
away and talk to people.
The other thing that's kind of, you know, we've kind of built our businesses based on like ourselves, not ourselves a little bit, but like it's people always want to talk to,
The
at
owner.
least with me, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they wanna talk to the owner. Yep,
Because
yep.
you've built a relationship with people over time, and it's so tough because I want to do that every time. Like I want to be
Yeah.
the person that answers the phone. I want to talk to you and talk about what's going on, but it's
Yeah.
been like slowly like, I got to let go of this. I got to let go of this. I got to
Yeah.
let them do it. Try to give more, you know what I mean? It's like such a tough thing, but it's, you know, obviously it's a positive once you can get more people involved and everything. But
Well, that was kind of my signature. One of my friends would always be like, you got to have that personal touch. You know, if I automate too much and take away that one-on-one aspect of placing an order,
yeah,
then why they can just go order from anybody online.
Right.
You know, so it's talking to somebody, whether it's me or somebody else,
Yeah.
and getting that personal touch of like, hey, you know, if you do this, it'll look a little better. Or hey, what about this? Or,
yeah.
you know,
I deal with it on the fact too that like, you know, we do like site visits with our customers where we do the videos, do pictures, you know, whatever. But like, sometimes I battle a little bit because like sometimes I feel like they want me there doing the stuff.
yeah,
And I've tried to slowly, you know, introduce, you know, people on my team here and bring them in, and we'll go there together. You
Yep.
know what I mean? But it's and then in the end, you know, it's I want to be there. You know what I mean? I'm the one. Like
Yeah.
that's why I started this. Is what I love to do. It's like
Right.
You know, like Ryan, he helps. You know, with and even you know Holly, they've both started. You know, editing videos, and they do a lot of video editing and stuff for us. And even that, like, I'm like, man, I want to edit this video.
yeah,
But I'm like, I got to do the next thing. And it's like, so I try to like pull in, you know, I'll pick and choose a couple different things every once in a while to kind of
Yeah.
put my touch on. And, but yeah, I've told myself I'm going to start dedicating one day a week to like creating like either me like going and doing something just creative that I have in my head, like with a customer or for myself.
yeah.
So I'm trying to get to that point where I can like separate one day a week, and it's been
It's
been
tough.
hard.
It's tough. I know. And you know, the guys will give me a hard time sometimes. Like, oh, when was the last time you printed a shirt? You know, and I'll get out there and print. You know, when something doesn't get done and they want to go home, I'm out there to finish it
Yeah.
for them. You know,
Staying late.
I'm willing to put in all the hard work that they do. You know, for me. So I think that's a good thing with the employees because you know nobody wants to work for a boss that's not willing to do the same stuff he's
Right.
asking them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's tough because sometimes you feel like, all right, I need to do something. You know what I mean? You don't want them to think, well, this guy doesn't even do it.
Right. Well, you know, and that's the thing. Originally, when I was doing, say, everything as far as like creating the design, making an invoice, printing the shirt, and then when I got designers that were actually really good, like I was never a good designer. Like I knew what I liked and I knew what looked good or maybe what would sell. But once I had good designers, it just made everything so much easier because they were doing it so much faster and they got to the point where I wanted to be quicker. And yeah, I mean, it goes back to your point of hiring people that are good at what you need done.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether it's the accountant, whether it's the
exactly
photographer,
employees, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and it's just funny too. Like, so you know, one of my employees I like was hired somebody so he was doing one task, but we hired somebody else to do that task, so he had to let it go. And you know, he said to me, you know, it's hard to let this go. I've been doing this whole time. I've been working for you. And I was like, think of everything you're doing that I'm not doing. I've had to let all that go. I was like, it's a hard transition, but it's just to grow and to, you know, bring on more, grow your team and everything. It's just something you gotta like get used to and figure out.
Yeah.
So how about, I wonder, I don't know if many people know about Paragon, but I don't know, you want to break that down a little bit, the Paragon Disc Golf Where'd that come about? I guess I know you just like disc golf in general,
Yeah, I mean,
which is awesome.
I started playing disc golf before I started printing T-shirts. So back in like '95, when my dad lived in San Diego, I played at Morley Field, which is a world-renowned course now. Played with PDGA Hall of Famer the very first time I went out. Didn't know who he was until later on, and when we got a course here, I think it was probably about '99 is when we got a course in Springfield.
Did you help with that?
I mean, I was actually at the park board meeting saying, "Hey, let's get a skate park," and then somebody else stood up and said, "Hey, let's get a disc golf course," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool too." Like, I've been going to California to play disc golf, and there just wasn't. I mean, there was a huge disc golf scene in Peoria, but I wasn't, traveling, to play or anything. But I got the course here. I think our first tournament was in '99, and then. I mean, our club got some shirts, and I was printing shirts at the time, and they I don't want to say they got ripped off, but they didn't get the greatest a deal, and I felt like the shirt could have been better. And this is probably in 2009. I decided, you know what, I'm going to make some shirts. I'm going to try something. And it was kind of that same thing I'm talking about where somebody wants to start a brand, and I was like, I'm going to start a brand. I'm going to sell these shirts. And I printed all this stuff. I didn't sell anything, like maybe some friends bought some stuff, but I went to this first event thinking I'm going to sell some stuff and nothing. And so within that first year, I realized I don't need to print stuff to sell. I need to print stuff for other people for them to sell it, because I'm trying to do something that my customers are already doing. So, I just need to sit back and stay in my lane, print the shirt and give them the best price. And we made a package deal for clubs that, we clubs all over the world, we print stuff in Australia, Europe, Canada.
So you make Paragon stuff, but Paragon's more of
Paragon's the brand.
Kind of a division of almost Miles, a little bit like
exactly
just focused on that.
Yeah, it's like our athletic sports apparel kind of brand. But I mean, the big thing is with the sport, it's very community oriented.
Yeah. So, if nobody's ever tried disc golf, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's very cheap to get into. You don't have to pay to go out. There
are some pay-to-play courses.
Well, I mean, Springfield.
In Springfield, there's 4 courses actually working on the
4?
5th one. Yeah, there's 2 at Lincoln Park, then Douglas Park, or whatever the new name is going to be for Douglas Park.
Okay.
And then UIS has a course.
Yes, I've played the UIS one.
And Jacksonville has a course, Bloomington has a course, Decatur has a course,
and the Douglas
Champaign.
Park, I think, is the other one I always played.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but in Central Illinois, do you have to pay at any of them?
No.
Yeah.
Up in Chicago, there's a couple plays, but
you can get a couple discs. Costs you maybe $30-$40 to get a couple nice discs.
Yeah, not even that.
And don't throw it in the water, and you'll be good. We don't have much water around here. I think Lincoln Park has some water,
right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But that's what I love. My buddies and I, we just all go out there. I mean, we only, I had a putter and like a mid-range thing that you could use for anything.
Yeah.
And there'd be 6 or 7 of us just walking the course. It was free every day. You get exercise, toss the disc, and a little competition, and it's a great little sport.
Yeah, and I just did it because I wanted to help out other people that were in our club situation, and then now that I've been doing it for 10 years, I've established myself in the sport. Most people know who I am, so when they need something, I'm the first one they call. And I'm willing to not only just print their shirts, but I'm also willing to maybe go to their event or go the extra step to sponsor the event on top of printing their shirts or sponsor players and different things like that. So.
I liked the one thing that we helped Miles with one time that was really neat, is a good idea on his part, is they did a mystery box, the mystery box thing. That was always cool.
Mystery box
the wall.
Yeah.
It was like $25 or something for a box, but some of them had like
hundreds of dollars of prizes.
Yeah, that's fun. And what was that all for? That was like a fundraiser for the event, or was it?
Man, so like Box for Disc is those boxes. So I've actually bought that business from.
Those are the boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we have a bigger box. We're not doing the smaller box like we had, but it was just something fun. I mean, a lot of people do mystery boxes online.
Right.
And this was a way
I know Holly here has done that before too. That works for me.
Yeah, and they're fun. It's gambling, and people love that stuff. Mm-hmm. And
it's a good little promotion thing.
So we'd print something, put it on there. So it's a good photo op. But also, we'd sell 100 boxes in like 7 minutes, like as fast as we could take the money. And people were pumped. And every year at those events that we would do them, they were like, "When's the mystery box wall happening?" So.
Yeah, that's a fun thing. And that's what, that's I love. What other like marketing, like kind of ploys, do you have any others that stand out when you think about like stuff like that you've done with even Miles or, Miles
I mean, with the
T-shirts or
disc golf
anything?
stuff, like, we've done a lot of stuff. The first couple of years of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, we had a disc golf festival. So I actually built a bunch of games. So we had like a pyramid of baskets. We had like a totem pole, it was like 5 baskets tall, like around the world, where we had like the map of the world with different. So like those were really good things that like engaged people when they were at these events.
Yeah.
We actually just did one for Pumpkin Creek Farms. Like they did a similar one. It's like baseball, football, basketball. They had the idea.
Oh, I think I saw somebody doing that on a video the other day. She was throwing into a hole, like a pitcher hole
we
or
printed
whatever.
that and made all that. I mean, they did the bulk of the work, but we just helped make that happen for them. And like those are the fun projects. They're like, this is cool because I know some kid is going to go there and think this is the funnest thing. Like they're going to throw the baseball 100 times until they finally get it in there and be so excited about it.
Yeah, I saw that's hilarious that you did that, because I saw a video of a girl that went to my high school who actually used to live when she in high school right by you over in Sherwood.
Yeah.
And she played softball, what I mean, and she was launching that thing right into the hole, and was like, oh, still got the throw there.
Yeah. So and so like with the Pro Tour, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, when that first started, I kind of was a big part of it. I still am a pretty good, we do a lot with them. But I was going to these events and setting up. So I was not only producing products, but I was seeing how they were working with the public. So finding things that were easy to set up but have good visual, for filming. So we have these little OB walls that are just a corrugated sign that sit right on the ground, and they look fantastic on film. And they help define the fairways and stuff like that. So that was one of the things that we kind of, I don't say we were the first people to do it, but it was one of the things that we started doing, and it's taken off. We made like an elevated basket that just kind of makes another spot for advertising, because that was the whole thing when we were starting. There wasn't a ton of money. So we were thinking, how can we get our sponsors logos in front of people, not making it gaudy or, over the top,
it's the whole like advertising, but not advertising type of thing.
Like doing it subtle or doing it tastefully,
there you go,
And so we did a lot of those things, and those are fun, and they're still happening. I mean, this tournament next weekend, the Tour Championships, will be on ESPN2, which will be very exciting. So we're printing a lot of stuff right now that's, going to be seen by the masses.
Nice. That's cool. Is it the first time being on ESPN2 or ESPN the Ocho or
So earlier this year they did an event in Kansas, Emporia, Kansas, and it was on CBS Sports. And that went over really well.
Yeah.
And it's just like you said, people are off work, people are absorbing all that social media, and they're looking for, some of these other sports aren't happening right now.
And that's, this is like all outdoors, where you don't have to have like a bunch of people close. But
and they're, they don't really have any spectators at these events right now. Some states are different depending on what level stage they're in. But it's been awesome to see the sport continue to play through this pandemic. Yeah. And a lot of these manufacturers are making Frisbees can't even keep up because there's so much demand.
So you've been involved in the sport for a while. When did you say you
95
kind of got involved?
Is like when I first played disc golf.
And then
when
did the like league come along? What year what did you say that was?
Like 99 is when the club started here in Springfield Disc Golf Club.
But I mean like the what's it called? The actual
Disc Golf Pro Tour?
Pro Tour, yeah. Like when did that come around, do you know?
So that would have been 4 years ago? 5 years ago? So
you've been involved in that from
since
the beginning.
Yeah. So Steve Dodge started that. He used to work for Vibram Disc Golf, and he has a course, Maple Hill, in Leicester, Massachusetts, which is, I think it was just voted the #1 course in the United States. Yeah. It's a pay-to-play course, but beautiful course. It's on a tree farm, like a Christmas tree farm.
That's cool.
It's so awesome to be there.
I know I've been out in like Colorado before, and I know they have courses, but I'm like out there for other reasons. I'm like, I need to come out here and just, when I have some more time out here and like play some of these or something. That'd be cool. I bet there's some beautiful. I mean, because you think of like, obviously not comparing it to golf, but like in comparison to like, there's courses out there that are amazing, and you've probably seen them or played on a lot of those. But me, I've just pretty much only played here in town before.
Well, the ones in Colorado, now that when it's not snow season, they're putting disc golf courses on the ski slopes.
Yeah.
So people are
that's
driving in
cool.
just like 1,000-foot holes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then you take the ski lift up and work your way down, or whatever it is. So there's endless ways of doing disc golf. They do urban disc golf where they'll set it up in like a downtown area.
Yeah.
Do go through parking garages, or they've done them in like stadiums. They did one at like
That's cool.
Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Nice.
So like
that's
the
neat.
really cool things when they're not doing anything else there right now.
Kind of like the drone racing. You ever seen that they do in stadiums?
Yeah.
I actually was going to buy a basket for my old backyard because we were on about an acre, and the backyard was huge. And we ended up moving though. But even at my new backyard, like I'm like, I could probably still stick one over there and throw.
Or get a little mini one for the kids.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that is something too that people, it's just so people know it's something you can do. They sell them online. It's like $100 for a nice one. I was looking at a nice basket, and I think it collapsed and everything, and it was like $150, I think.
Yeah.
And
well, and the good thing too is like people of all ages. I mean, my 5-year-old, she can throw a disc like 60, 80 feet, and it's crazy. They think it's so cool to throw something that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's people, senior grandmasters that are, 70, 80 years old still playing.
Just out of curiosity, are you a sidearm thrower?
No, backhand.
I never could get the sidearm down.
I can't do it. It hurts my elbow.
Isn't it like a better way though? Don't people throw way farther doing it that way?
I mean, if you can throw backhand and forehand, you definitely have an advantage if you're
Depending on how you need the disc to move or whatever.
Exactly.
I've tried it because I just think that there's a way to get it farther that way. But if you look at it in comparison to golf, and I don't know, just thinking about this just now, like I remember when I was a kid and my grandpa took me out to play golf. And he was like 70 something years old, and he's not hitting the ball very far. It's fucking straight every time.
Yeah.
And he's parring every hole, sometimes birdieing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, it's not necessarily about how far you can hit it or maybe throw it, but if you can just get that thing straight and get it out there, like consistently, it seems like that's a consistency basically.
Yeah. One of the girls that I sponsor, she's world champion disc golfer, and she's very sidearm, She tries to do the backhand and has gotten way better at it, but yeah, she's like known for her sidearm.
Huh.
But when she does it, it just looks like it hurts her elbow so bad.
I know. I've heard mine even just whipping it like this, but
I mean, it's kind of like baseball. It's that sidearm throw, like those baseball guys that used to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody really throws sidearm anymore in baseball. I don't really watch a lot of baseball anymore.
Too much these days. Yeah. So weird what they're doing in sports now.
Well, nobody has time to watch like 4 hours of a game. Unless you're at the stadium, enjoying the atmosphere.
Games, yeah. But I mean, like, baseball games, they have the cardboard cutouts that you could buy.
Yep.
I don't know if it's all of them or not, but I know Cardinals were doing that.
Yeah.
And then basketball, you could like pay to be a digital spectator.
Yeah.
And there's like you get on a webcam and you're like in the stands digitally.
I just wonder how much that costs for them to do that.
It's so weird to like be
just like all the behind the scenes stuff. Like that's the stuff that I love to see and hear about. You know, like how much work goes into doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess you would give each person like a Zoom, or I don't know if they're using Zoom, whatever, and then I guess they just get on. So one of our friends down in Miami, her husband works for the Heat.
Okay.
But he is, I don't know if he paid for it or if he just gets to do it because he works for him or what, but he's like a digital spectator. And from what I saw, he's on his laptop at home.
Okay.
Like cheering and doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I guess they're just feeding in like different like meetings for everybody.
Yeah.
Whoever paid for it, you probably get your own little code to log in or whatever, I guess. So, I mean, it probably, a lot of bandwidth obviously there, but I don't know. Those people, it's probably
they got enough money. They can do whatever they want.
The cardboard thing, I feel like would almost be harder than that.
Well, yeah, I feel like, that's a lot of printing. That's a lot of
Too
cutting.
bad he didn't have that job.
Right. No, I know somebody's making a killing.
I know one of my buddies, his wife bought him cardboard cutout, I think, for the Cardinals or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw some pretty funny ones that people bought just on Facebook or whatever.
They did that at one of the disc golf events recently too. They had some at like a certain hole, like
Oh,
a hole that typically gets like aced,
Wow.
and so they had a couple funny ones like in the background. So that was cool.
Nice, awesome. Well, What do you got here? Is that the alien from Attack of Mars or whatever?
Yeah,
oh my
Mars.
God. I was just thinking about that movie the other day and wondering where I could find it. I freaking love that
So I went to
movie.
watch it. I was thinking, I can let my daughter watch this.
It's
you
not
can't.
appropriate.
No, not at all. I didn't remember it being like that. But yeah, this was, and it says printing since
That's
1999.
awesome.
So
That's a good shirt right there. Is this mine?
it's an extra large if you want to wear an extra large.
That's awesome.
I
I'll
didn't
take
have any
that.
larges.
No, I think actually in the ones I just bought
Can
from
you
you.
wear an extra large? I got one for you. and
I've been
then
wearing
medium,
extra large.
So
Nice.
everybody gets a shirt.
That's awesome. That's
You
so
know.
funny. I literally like a couple weeks ago I thought of that and I was like, man, that was a hilarious little movie. But yeah, you're right. I was
And
actually with my
who-
kid and I'm like, or not my kid, my niece.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I should find this movie and watch it. And then in
Yeah.
my head I was like, was that appropriate? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing with kids now. You think of movie like even Home Alone. I was thinking, Home Alone would be a good movie. And like we start watching it, and it's like there's all sorts of kind of cuss words and things. And I'm like, I don't need my kid hearing this.
Yeah.
So it's now that you're the parent, it's different on what
Right.
movies are good and what movies.
Oh my God, I have such a potty mouth. I'm trying to get better at that. Even just with being around my nieces and nephews, my sister, every time I'm on the phone, I'm on speakerphone automatically and I never remember it. So I'm immediately cussing. And yeah, I don't know where that's came from over the years, but I got to get better at it. And kids.
Probably listening to Gary Vee too much.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess, man, we've been going it's been about an hour now. What, anything, how about this? Any specific thing that has helped your business grow that you might recommend to other entrepreneurs or anything out there?
I mean, I think the making a slower move. I've moved very slowly,
I've done the same thing.
and I think
Sometimes
a lot of
when you
people.
grow too fast, it kills you, man. People get pissed at you. You get bad reviews. You're taking on too much stuff.
Yeah, and I compare it in the music business, like when we did the band thing. Whenever you would see a band just like shoot up really big, they would come down so fast. It was just up and down.
That's right.
But like the bands that put the time in and wrote a couple albums,
one hit wonder type of thing.
like put out a couple solid albums, did some tours, and like finally, got those bands stuck around.
You get that base solid crowd that like following that loves you
Yeah.
type of thing. Yeah.
So I feel like it's the
Interesting
same
comparison.
it's the same with business. Especially in our industry, there's some people that go out and they have whatever money they have, and they're just like, I'm just gonna buy everything, but they don't have the work for it, and you need to build up that until you can afford. And that's kind of what I did. I bought a lot of
Kills
used
you.
equipment, and now
Or you get like loans or something. I'm dealing with that now myself in the aspect of I'm looking for a bigger space or expanding this space here in this building, but I'm like, do I want to buy a building? I'm like, I don't know if I want the headaches of like the maintenance and the overhead, or like if something goes wrong. And I read this thing not too long ago, and it was something, I don't remember the statistics specifically, but it was something about how like the top 100 companies never owned like their own building until like they were this big or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of headaches that come with that. And I mean, I know
that was a good
you've
thing.
had your own buildings.
When I was
but-
working in for the property management company, it was good to see that.
Oh, yeah.
and
So
some
you
of these
knew what you were
buildings
getting into and could
the-
make the right decision
the
on
state,
what you wanted to do.
The state of Illinois was renting, some of these buildings. So it's like, why are they not buying their own buildings? Because they don't, it's a whole
Right.
other job to keep all the maintenance up. Especially as you get bigger. Like a small building, not too bad. Like our first shop, not so bad. But now, it's like we got 4 bathrooms. We have like multiple air conditioning
Yeah.
units. We have,
I know
fire alarms. We have regular alarms, cameras. You got all these things, and it just adds up. And
then like you find yourself, like I know here, I've built like every one of our computers here myself, and it's like, God damn, I spend so much time doing that.
Yeah.
But it's anytime something goes wrong, it's like, oh, the camera's out, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'll get up there and fix it. So
Right.
I installed it, and it's like, I'm gonna call somebody that's gonna take twice as long, and it's like shit. So, but yeah, I was talking with somebody about that actually this morning, because I was like debating, and I'm like, well, I've definitely grown, done a nice slow pace, like, I haven't basically taking the time, you know what I mean? I don't advertise a ton. It's all been word of mouth.
yeah,
We're able to take on new customers and not like forget about another customer. You know what I mean? And it's just, I never want to take away from an existing customer to focus on a new one. I want it to be a nice even thing to where everybody's still getting the same attention. So that slow growth is it's not always bad.
Yeah, and I mean, our business is slightly different as, our customers maybe only come to us when they need to, as to where maybe you're staying in contact with your customers consistently.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's our customers that we see once a year, and, they know where we left off, and we pick up right there, and, they're really happy. But I think, the big thing for us moving into our own building, a nicer building, obviously.
Yeah.
People just take it a little more seriously when you own the building, because obviously you take pride in it. So you're going to do all those little extra things. I just aerated the lawn in front. I was like,
I saw that.
I'm like, let's just do, yeah. Because didn't you post that? Yeah.
I was like, I need my lawn aerated. Well, we moved into our house, and the lawn looked good, from the previous, which my wife's uncle owned it, but his lawn always looked amazing. I remember going over there to swim, and I'm like, man, your yard is so nice.
Yeah.
And we moved in, and we were remodeling, and I just kind of let it go to shit. Weeds took over. I'm like, So I killed all the weeds, and then I'm like, all right, I got to get this thing ready for next year. And I don't know much about lawns, and I didn't really want to try to figure it out. So I was like, someone can aerate and just do whatever needs to be done.
Yep.
But then I saw you like, yep, stop by and do mine.
Tanner was there this morning, and he got it knocked out, and our lawn is so small right in front of the shop, and it's the lawnmower runs over the same area. You can't really cross up the patterns because.
But you take pride in it. You own it.
Exactly. You take the pride and do those things. And like right now, I think about, oh man, we spent so much money on that. But I'm hoping I don't have to mess with some of that stuff for 20 years.
Right. Because this is all fresh, pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean all the building stuff. We tore out all the walls that were in there for the most part and started from scratch.
Yeah, and I know somebody I know just bought a building. And she's like looking to open a business in it, and I'm like, I said to not her but her friend, it's just like, you should probably like make sure that she knows like the responsibilities that's coming with that. Like you got to replace a furnace or air conditioning on your house. It's maybe like $3,000-$4,000, whatever, but I guarantee you on a building it's probably double or triple that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have. And I tell that even to people buying houses, I'm like, man, make sure you got a little bit of a cushion, because if something goes wrong, it's always a few $1,000 almost.
Well, it's even when we bought new equipment, it's just running the power, moving a air duct or whatever it is. It all adds up real quick, So,
all right, let's jump back to the question from the beginning of the podcast. Biggest challenge as a small business owner. What would you say?
I think finding good help. I think, finding good help that, I mean, I've been so lucky. I've had, I think, the easiest of what I've heard from some other employees or or comparable businesses, I guess you could say. But man, it's tough.
It is.
Finding good people that want to work, especially with everything that happened this year with the pandemic, and
a lot of people took advantage of that. I've heard from so many business owners, they're like, oh, all of a sudden my employees don't feel comfortable coming in now that they know they're getting an extra $600 or whatever unemployment.
Yep. So, I mean, that was tough, but like that was the cool thing about everybody that stuck with me. And, obviously it was scary for a little bit, and, we're doing everything we can to, luckily we have a building big enough where everybody is very separated.
Yeah, it's not right on top
and we're really just not letting customers come in, unless they have a mask on, and otherwise we're just taking everything out. But, yeah, I think that's the hardest thing, especially when you're growing, because I see a lot of other small businesses that we work with. They're really good at what they do, like yourself, and you were doing it all yourself, and you can only do so much, and you want to make a little bit more, but you can't. There's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the same with me. It's like I can go and print shirts all day long, but until I maybe have at least, when I used to only have 2 employees, that was the best, But then you start getting busy, and you got to hire more, and I think that's the hardest thing, managing people, and
it's tough.
I never,
getting the people that, and it's like getting people that like, and you want them to be excited about it, because if the work's not going to be as good if they're not like excited about it and like what they're doing,
or
and
take
having
pride
fun
in it.
And pride, take pride in it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that when things like get to slow down a little bit, we enjoy it so much, as far as like doing the extra little things, or if we have time, like if a customer gives us time to do something, we might stop in the middle of a run or right when we're setting up and just be like, this doesn't look right. Call the customer, hey, can you come over here real quick and look at it,
right?
And just make sure it's right. All those little things, and that's one of the other things people maybe come to our business is just the experience, and finding somebody with experience, or when you bring somebody new on, being willing to deal with their mistakes as they're learning.
Right.
Every day there's a new way to mess up a t-shirt. Every day. Even the guys that have been working for me for 10 years.
Ours is a little tough because
you have time to fix it.
Well, no, it's for us it's tough because sometimes there's a mistake, but that mistake is for a business and it's very public. Like say even just a misspelling in a word on a business's page, it's like.
Well, we had one recently. The customer sent us artwork, and they misspelled a word.
Yeah,
and
on the shirt.
One
or
of our employees caught it.
There you go.
Called them, said, "Hey, we corrected this, just so you know."
Yeah.
But do you tell them?
We had one recently that was actually kind of funny because the customer sent it. It was actually your customer also, full blast.
Yeah.
We had a post up about roof cleaning, and it said roofs, and it was we spelled it ROOVES, and he sent it. He's like, "Man, I had one of my competitors send me this." And I was like, "Oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. That's so stupid of us." You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know how we missed that because we use like a typically like a spell check thing. We have one or two people that look at it before before anything really goes on with it. And one of my employees here Googled it, and it actually is a way to spell it, ROOVES. I'd never seen that.
Okay.
And it was just like an old way to do it, but it's still right.
Yeah.
And I was like, send him this back, and sent him the Google.
We had a very similar one with licorice.
Oh, okay.
You can spell it two different ways.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to spell licorice. I have no idea.
Well, it's
there's two ways to do it.
There's like lico-rice and then licorice. Like
that's hilarious.
So we did a banner one time for a friend that they're like, "Oh, it's spelled wrong." And one of my guys who takes a lot of pride in his grammar, English, all that stuff, like, "No, dude, it's not. It's right." And so it's just the type of, I don't know what the difference between the two.
Right.
But yeah, just those little weird things like that. That come up and
tough. Or in a video. The other thing with us that is tough is like we've gotten pretty good about misspellings. Obviously, mistakes happen. Even if the business was doing it themselves, they're probably going to have more mistakes than we're even doing.
Yeah.
Because they're probably rushed to do it.
Yeah.
But in a video, it's tough because you put it out there, and when you make a post on social media, it's like that first day or so. That's like when it's there. Like that's the main thing. And obviously, you can still put ads behind it or whatever. But then if you notice something wrong in a video, the only way to fix it is delete the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, do we delete this? It's already got comments. So sometimes we have to weigh that, like.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's little things that like no normal person would notice.
Right.
But
Same in ours.
maybe I notice, and I'm like, maybe we should change that.
It's like a Bob Ross. It's a Bob Ross. Happy little mistakes. Yeah. Happy, and the same with music.
That's a good way to put it. Happy little mistakes.
Happy little mistakes, and it gives it character. It's like when you're recording, and some weird thing happens in the background. Somebody shuts the door. Somebody does something. It's like, oh, that messed it up. It's like, no, it didn't.
Kind of works.
It made it work. It actually was cool.
Loop that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So
that's funny. Nice. Well, so Miles T-shirts, T-shirt printing, all kinds of stuff. What are some? Just let's name some of the things: pens, koozies. You got like
sunglasses, fly swatters. We just did a guitar fly
I
swatter.
saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was super. I mean, my customer found it. Like we have a catalog, and they went through it all, and they found it.
That was super cool. What a good idea.
When he asked me that, I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't have that. He's like, yeah, you do. It's in your catalog. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, there's only like 100 million things in there, so it's we haven't done them all.
What you also have like the growlers you can do stuff like that with logo.
Yeah, for anything
you want to put your logo on, pretty much.
Right now, obviously, everybody getting ready to do promo or maybe employee gifts or maybe customer
Christmas
gifts.
stuff.
Like if you want to give your customers a nice little mug,
yeah,
that's always sitting on their desk so they remember you.
Masks,
top of mind.
I would imagine, have been big lately.
Oh my gosh, so many masks. I never would have thought. I didn't want to do masks at the beginning because I didn't, know the seriousness of it at first, and I kind of waited, and then
I was like myself, even with Upox at this point, I'm like, God, I should have printed masks a long time ago.
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, no, and we don't have any Miles T-shirts masks, but we have everybody else's, so
yeah,
What
are some other big sellers?
I mean, obviously the neck gaiters have been huge.
Yeah,
and I think the thing a lot. Yeah,
Simply CBD, which are great. There's some here. Throw me that one right there.
And the way that I like, or the thing that I like about that is it's something that will be used post-pandemic, especially somebody like you with hair. Like you can use that to hold your hair up,
Yeah.
or people that ride their motorcycles or
Get
whatever.
It wear it cool
Exactly.
in the summer around your neck.
It's something that hopefully people will still, people mowing lawns, keeping dust out of their face, whatever it is. So, I mean, I know they say maybe those don't protect as well because it's only a single ply versus a 2-ply, but
I feel like it's got to do that. Oh.
it's better.
What do they say? It like spreads it if you have it on or something weird. I was like, that seems a little far-fetched, but
yeah.
And then obviously vehicle wraps, man. I don't, we're a digital marketing agency, but I worked for a sign company for 6 years. I tell any one of my customers that a vehicle wrap is one of the best investments you can make because of the cost per impression you make over its lifetime.
Yeah.
It's very low. I mean, you might spend a few $1,000s on it to begin with, but you got to think that's going to last you. I mean, shit, we've had ours for, I don't even know now, 3 years maybe. Still looks great. We did some little spots on it that are kind of peeling up a little bit, but I have those extras you gave me. They just need to be swapped out.
Yeah.
But those are weird little spots that are kind of was bound to happen. I always recommend that to anybody, even though we don't do them.
I mean, I didn't do my van for a long time. I actually bought a van, and then I didn't realize the paint was bad because it was from Florida, so I had to buy another van, and then wrapped it, and then we rewrapped it this year. But yeah, even the van, I had a friend that I saw at the post office, and we have masks on. I don't think she knew that I maybe knew who she was. I haven't seen her in a long time. She's like, nice van. And then the next day she emailed me about an order. And I sent her a message back. I said, it was the van, wasn't it? And she goes, yes. It was just, and I don't have anything super flashy on the van anymore. Before it was kind of wild, and now it's really simple. And just had the name, and that's it. And, something simple is still good.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple.
It's just a basic logo on the side.
So,
but which doesn't cost a lot. I mean, what's like, just to give people perspective, like if someone's just put the logo on the side of their van, it's like a few $100 or something.
Exactly. Yeah. A couple $100, or you can spend $5,000. We're about ready to do a full color change wrap for a company. And, I mean, it's going to be awesome. They're going to be all over Central Illinois delivering stuff, and it's going to bring them more business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we definitely, I've definitely had calls from mine. But even if someone doesn't call me right away, I have people, I've seen your van around town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just almost like an official thing. It kind of
and when you pull up, I tell these construction guys all the time, when you pull up and you have a nice vehicle, number one, if you have a nice vehicle, people just take you a little more seriously. Mm-hmm. You obviously take pride in like maintaining your equipment, and you can, I don't want to say you can charge a little bit more, but people almost expect to pay a little bit more. I mean, if you look at the guys that are expensive, let's just say like HVAC, they all have wrapped vehicles, maybe the guys that aren't as expensive, but then you got to weigh out like, okay, how much, what am I really getting here?
Right.
So as long, if you do a good wrap and you do a good business, it's not going to hurt you. And it's going to be the most cost effective marketing that you can do. Mm-hmm. Dollar for dollar.
No, they're cool. And you can do some cool stuff too, if you really want to get creative. There's some weird. You ever searched any of the weird ones out there?
There's some really cool stuff.
I saw a bus with this was a long time ago when I worked at the previous business. The snake crushing it. Yep. Yeah, those are cool. People do some interesting stuff. You can really get creative if you think about it and do some research and stuff.
Yeah.
It took me a while to decide how I wanted to do ours, but we just at the time again I would do it completely different now. You know what I mean? It would just because I've learned it's like, all right, let's just focus. You know what I mean? Just from book and thinking about it more. But at the same time, I've had people ask me about it, like, oh, what kind of content you create? Because obviously no one here can see it, but the biggest thing on it besides our logo, it just says we create content.
Yeah.
But then lists all the other services we offer, around that. But yeah, no, it's cool, and like you said, it just really makes you official. I would agree, though. It gives people peace of mind almost. You come in with more professionalism. You got your business card, or you got your
established.
van wrapped.
I mean, you're not going to just take that off. They know you're not
like just coming in willy nilly.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, you're obviously made the investment. You've made the commitment to do this, and especially like in your business. I mean, I know a lot of people that create websites. A lot of people are like, oh, this designer was supposed to do something, he never did it. We hear that all the time. Or like, oh, somebody was printing some T-shirts out of their garage, and now they're not answer my call, whatever it is, we hear this stuff all the time. Yeah. So then it's like, well, come to a business that's established, and we're here. We're not going anywhere.
There's a reason they've been around.
Right. We've been here a long time. Like we're here, answer calls, emails. You can show up. So, I mean, that's a big thing. Some people do order online from us. Some people come in. And people that maybe order online from somebody they don't know, who are they going to go like yell at if something's not right? You know, people want to be able to go yell at somebody.
Catch a recording machine.
Right, or get it fixed, you know, so.
What's the best way for people to find you? You want to put anything out there?
I mean,
Instagram,
email. Yeah, I mean,
is it all just
Instagram.
Miles T-shirts? Your handles or
MilesTshirts.com on Instagram. There's somebody that has Miles T-shirts. She doesn't use her thing, and I'm like trying to get it from her. I'm like, hey, why don't you just give this to me? Yeah. So I mean, we used to do MilesTshirts.com everything, but then a lot of people thought that we were just online. You know, so
you did recently go through kind of a rebranding.
Yeah, new logo for sure when we moved to the new shop, and which
fresh start.
Yeah, and it's really simple and clean and.
Simplicity, man, goes a long way. I get so many comments on mine. It's just nothing really. It's a box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got what I need, but
I think the funny thing though, I was talking to somebody and they were calling it OOT.
OOT or
like,
OT.
Yeah, they're like OOT.
It's
so
funny.
You almost need to make a video about that.
Yeah, I tell people a lot of times boot without the B.
Okay.
Oot box, but it's funny though. I was super worried about because I knew nobody would ever pronounce it right.
Yeah.
But when people talk to me about it, where it came from, and I tell them the story, it just sticks in their head that much more.
Yeah.
So I found it actually kind of beneficial, but it is kind of funny when they say it. Because even like I've had customers talk to customers like, oh, we use I was thinking about using Otbox. You ever heard of them or something? They're like, Ootbox? You know what I mean? And then they have a conversation about it, and it just turns into kind of a weird thing that I don't always recommend to somebody to use like a weird name that makes it hard to market yourself. But in our situation, it works because I mean that's kind of what we do.
Well, and when I started my business, I wasn't thinking about like I needed to make a name. Like I wasn't thinking about it as a marketing aspect. I was so young at the time. It's like, I mean, originally it was Miles Ahead Productions, and then I was like, that doesn't really tie into what I do. And then I bought the domain MilesTshirts.com. And so I was like, oh, I'll just push that. Because that was, really before, obviously, Facebook. There was no Facebook when I started. Right. So the website was where people went. And then, we just kind of pushed that. Now we just dropped the .com, and it's just Miles T-shirts.
Do you know, this is a random question, do you know where your name, like how your parents came up with the name? Because it is a unique name, Miles. I like it,
it's like, kind of interesting. I think they were like walking through like a graveyard or something and saw the name
on someone's stone.
And it wasn't like Miles Standish or Miles Davis or any of the other things that people ask, are you named after, but now it's my daughter plays soccer and you walk by every field and there's parents yelling Miles. Like there's a lot of kids named Miles now, but definitely when I was growing up, didn't know any other Mileses. And I didn't like my name when I was growing up either.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
I see that. I hated having red hair, but now it's like a branding aspect.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, that giant red beard.
Well, when I answer the phone, Miles T-shirts is Miles. They're like, oh.
That's your name?
Yeah. And some people think it's my last name. Some people, they're like, oh, you're the Miles. It's like, yeah.
It's me, the Miles.
So, yeah. the Miles. So.
That's funny. Well, hey, Miles, it was great chatting with you. Appreciate you coming on. MilesTshirts.com. They definitely do great printing, vehicle wraps, anything you want to stick your name on. There will help you out with that. They've helped us with a ton of stuff. We have a whole rack of shirts hanging in our studio that has our name on it from them.
Yeah.
So they'll help you out though, man. They got samples, questions. If you've seen a T-shirt you like, just freaking bring it to them. Show them what you like about it. They'll help you find the right thing. Very helpful. So appreciate it, Miles.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, good chatting.
Yeah.
Thanks.